Greetings watchers one and all, the Watchful One here. You know what I haven't done? An anime video. Yep, never did an anime video. Not once. Certainly not one about Agretsuko years ago. Yep, definitely not. So let's fix that right now and... Oh my goodness, what is this? Is this all the love and affection my channel is receiving? Wait, what am I saying? My audience doesn't like me, they tolerate me. Big difference. No, this must mean it's Valentine's Day. Unless of course you're seeing this in the future, but just for this video, let's pretend it is. And let's talk about one of my favorite romantic animes ever made. Yeah, you heard me. Fruits Basket is my favorite girly anime. And I don't even care, it's manly to like girly anime. Yeah, I'm a Sailor Scout, what of it? No, but seriously, Fruits Basket was a show that Season got me into way back when she first visited me for Christmas 2 years ago. And I kinda just fell in love with it, honestly. But if I had to point to one single solitary thing that made me love it, well, besides the premise, the adorable moments, and the comedy, it would have to be the characters. So many of them are great, varied, and interesting, and even the ones I thought I would hate, I ended up liking them. Yes, even the one you are probably thinking of, oh boy, this is just gonna do wonders for my credibility, isn't it? But you know what, I ain't going to do a standard top 10, no! This show is so good, it deserves a full damn rank. So we're not just gonna count down the 10 best, we're gonna rank every Zodiac member, and you can't stop me. That being said, let's be fair and put in a couple rules. Firstly, I am very aware there's a sequel manga as well as some side series mangas. However, I have not read the sequel manga, I only know a few minor things thanks to Season. And while I might bring them up in the video, this is strictly about the show more or less. Also, as an addendum to that, I am focusing on the reboot anime as that's the one I watched. It's also apparently more manga accurate, so there you go. And number 2, I feel like this is obvious, but this is a ranking of the Zodiac members, not every single character. If I did that, good lord would we be here all day. I did however make maybe 2 or 3 exceptions to this rule. And if you're even familiar with the anime, you can probably guess who it is. That being said, that does mean I had to leave off Punk Mom and Goth Mom, so sorry for any fans of them. I still love these two all the same though, honestly. But other than those rules, it is open season. Before we get to the fun entries, we have to talk about... well... So I'll be honest, this show when I first saw it, I was diehard set on what characters I was gonna fall in love with and which ones I was gonna punt like a football. But then the final season happened and, well, let's just say it was a revelation for a lot of the characters. As it really changed my perspective on each of them, it changed my thoughts on characters I was initially really hard on, and it did raise them if only a little bit in the rankings. So while it did make my mission hard, it did give me a lot more to talk about. And if nothing else, it gave me one other new perspective, and that is... fight the real enemy. Oh, this bitch, this fucking bitch, is pretty much the whole reason that the conflict is happening in the first place. So Ren is the mother of Akito, and yep, she's easily one of the worst moms in anime. So her whole thing is that when Akito was born, she made her dress more manly and masculine because she wanted a son, and just had the biggest inferiority complex about it, like get a hobby. She also spent all her life telling Akito her connection to the Zodiacs was fake, that it was completely unreal, and once it was broken, if it ever did break, they would not want to be friends with her. And you know what sucks the most about that? Is that in the end she's right. When the curse breaks and Akito has lost her connection both spiritually with them, she lost it literally as well because she drove everyone away. Like literally, if it wasn't for Toru convincing Akito to be nice, Ren would have won in the end. And while we're at it, let's just pile on the fact that she is also super abusive all around and despicable. I'm just saying, when I'm rooting for Akito to choke this bitch out, you know you made someone really despicable. And Akito ain't exactly a saint, so that's saying something. And I am very aware that she has a very sad backstory, losing her husband and all that, but you know what? As much as it's gonna shoot me in the foot later for a different entry, I don't care. Like, I can't even be brought to have the mental capacity to care about her backstory. She lost her husband, like, who cares, bitch? Half the Somas lost their loved ones, even Toru has, you ain't special. What's even weirder is that he seemed to be a good guy, and I feel comfortable saying that. He seemed really cool, and I wonder how in the flying hell this monster of a person married him. And besides, why is that an excuse? Sure, it's a reason, But unlike another antagonist, she never has a revelation that what she's doing is wrong. Hell, she seems to outright take glee in what she does, and for what? Honestly, that's what kills me about her character. She seems to have no reason other than pure unbridled pettiness. Pettiness and also jealousy to Akito for having that connection. Like really? You're gonna verbally abuse your daughter all because she has a connection to people? Like a connection so strong they sense that you were pregnant with her? It's like, why do you care? Why do you care? And as if all that wasn't bad enough, what really grinds my gears is that she faces no consequences. And frankly no, I don't count choking her out or her revelation on what her husband left Akito. Sure, those are cathartic as hell, but they're not a punishment. She's pretty much forgotten when the anime is over. She's given no comeuppance, no nothing. I do want to say that my girlfriend pointed out that maybe that's the ending she deserves, to be forgotten forever, but I call bunk. Bunk I say. Even something as minor as Akito having one last conversation with her, saying she's gonna rebuild the bonds herself would have been something, anything. And all those are the many reasons why she's landed at the bottom of the list. No consequences, unlikable even with a sympathetic backstory, and I can just go on and on. And what gets me is that I know it can be done well. There's another antagonist later on the list that gets much better treatment. But as for Ren, congratulations, you're officially the worst character in Fruits Basket. You are despicable and I condemn you to the trash. And speaking of characters that I started hating immediately, yeah, you knew this little shit was gonna be pretty low on the list. And for good reason, because I absolutely hated him through most of the series. First impressions are important, people, and his was an absolutely horrible one, as he belittles and bullies Toru for what exactly? Because he's jealous of her? I get he's a kid, so pardon my language, but fuck you! Bullying Toru is an unforgivable crime, and is punishable by sheep snuggles. I will say, he at least gets rightfully scolded and gets a proper punishment. And he does face some very funny consequences in the form of Toru. But honestly, despite that, he doesn't really improve. As when we next see him again, he's still a little shit. We get bits and pieces of a better person here and there, but it's not enough. Also again, I know he's a kid, but I just flat out hate his voice. And I know that's horrible to say, but it's true. No offense to the VA, mind you, they did a great job as well as all the other VAs. I was honest to God hoping season 2 would help humanize him a little more, but despite there being an entire Soma beach trip, we barely see him enough to get any more. And even the little bit we do get, yeah, his relationship with Keisha is very cute, but it's just not enough. At least for me anyway, I wanted a lot more. I was honestly all set to put this guy at the bottom of the list at the end of season 2. But, well, for one, Ren existed and there's no way this kid is worse than Ren. I mean, he was a little shit, but he's not a monster. Wow, what kind of bar am I setting if that's the bottom of the barrel? But the other reason why I didn't put him at the bottom was, well, in season 3, we got this little moment right here. That one little moment fixed everything. I'm not even joking. Just that one little moment of humanization and him admitting that he was a jerk is enough for me to honestly forgive him. That and the moment where his curse breaks and he can finally hug his little sister is just so heartwarming. They're way more humanizing for Hiro than anything he'd had any right to receive after the shit he did. And frankly, it was welcomed. It showed that the final season's redesigns weren't just for show. They were little as the characters grew up. And I did feel very happy for him when the curse broke. Like, how did you do that? How did you make a character I wrote off as a brat somehow interesting and likable? I don't know how we got here, but I'm glad we did anyway. So why aren't they any higher? Well, because those first impressions were so horrendously awful, it soured my taste of him. Yeah, I'm petty, shut up. But look on the bright side, he's at least still better than Ren. And don't worry, the bar can only go higher from here, especially since it's down the hole. Alright, so we cleared out the only entries that I outright hate or am mad on. From this point on, these are all members I like or outright love for various reasons. However, with all that being said, this one was painful to put so low. Why? Korino, you were so close to being number 13 or even 12 for that matter. I really did try putting him higher, and damn it, we're both roosters, I want to root for this guy. But in the end, I just couldn't put him higher. But you know what, maybe it's not a big deal. I mean, it's not like we're that similar. I mean, look at this guy. He's absent-minded as hell, he's too kind for his own good, he's super forgiving despite everything that happens to him, and he has a thing for this really awesome girl. Oh my god, he is me. Yeah, that's the whole reason he's here in the first place. He's relatable, okay? So many times watching this, I kept going, oh god, I'm getting called out by this anime. I don't know how accurate each of the Zodiac animals are to their respected members, but Korino makes me think they are. We're practically brothers. A rooster and a dragon. I smell a sitcom. But yeah, I really do think it's the case because I can't express how similar we are. You know, being roosters and all. What's this? Wait, what? Okay, so apparently this is his true form. He's not even a rooster? Okay, well that's gonna talk against him. Though speaking of, why isn't he any higher, you might be asking? Well, this may sound petty, but I wish there was more of him. He's the first member to break the curse. And we only meet him late into season 2. Like, the fact that he broke the curse, that alone is so interesting. And it had me intrigued as to what could break the curse and where this was going. But then we find out the curse is just breaking on its own, it's basically nothing. It's just breaking from so many members being present. And I'm just like, what a letdown, and it diffused any attention I had towards Rooster Boy. Not to mention, he can kinda come off as a pushover. His kindness is both one of his biggest defining traits, but it's also one of his biggest weaknesses. My guy gets stabbed and he still forgives Akito anyway despite it. I mean, props on you for being the nice guy, but goddamn bro, get mad or something. But nope, this guy is the chill and there is no anger behind those eyes. So yeah, I just can't justify putting this rooster any higher on the list. Especially when there are so many better members. But you're still my goofy twin in my eyes. Okay, so I guess with the next entry, I gotta ask an important question. Can a great first impression make up for a lack of screen time? Literally the cutest Soma ever, and if anything happened to her, I would kill everyone and then myself. From her intro, I kinda just fawned over this absolute cutie. When we first meet Keisha, she's in her babu tiger form, and she literally bites Toru and it kills me every single time I see it. However, unlike the little shit from earlier, it's obvious he was just scared though. She didn't mean to hurt Toru, and Toru still showed her kindness. And then after that, she just follows her around like a cat everywhere. My cat also does that, and in both cases, it's adorable. Let me put it to you another way. You ever look at a tiger and think, you are literally just a big cat? That's Keisha. Small tiger go bite. And yet she's also a precious being. Okay, yeah, full transparency, that's the only reason she's here. She's adorable and precious. And I will protect her with all of my might. Also, her backstory is worth mentioning as like a lot of members, it is very sad. But her cute sisterly bond with Toru is just too adorable. I mean, look at these two. It is illegal to be this cute, you need to stop. And thankfully, she's also a really good person as well, acting as a good moral voice of reason for Hiro. Though that being said, I suppose you are wondering why she isn't any higher. Well, she falls under a problem with a lot of other characters in the show in that she's pretty much a non-entity as the series goes on. It's honestly a big problem for most of the early entries, and sadly Keisha is not an exception. She just doesn't do enough to make up for her lack of screen time, but she honestly does make a good first impression that I had to put her above the Rooster Boy. Don't worry, you are still precious and I will snuggle the tiger form day and night. Okay, now we need to get into easily the most angry of the Somas. I'm not gonna lie guys, this bitch scares me. When we first meet her, she is in straight up ready to kill any and all around her mode. Just for the sake of her love and the orange hair. Her devotion to Kyo is crazy strong, but also admittedly very funny. But what did you expect from the boar of the Somas? But despite her brash nature, she can also be pretty wise sometimes. Yet also super immature. It's such an oxymoron and yet it works. For example, when it becomes obvious that her love for Kyo is one-sided and he won't love her back, she lets him go. Yet still is pretty obviously into him, to the point of being hyper jealous of Toru. And I'm sorry, but you just can't compete with this. Look at this face. I'm sorry, but you gotta get over it. Besides, he mostly held on to that little crush out of guilt more than anything. Yes, he feels guilty for leaving Kyo after his cursed form was revealed.
Landed on him wrong and somehow turned him into a Oh, this is awkward. Okay, so here's the thing.
No, I mean the other one. Yep. Honestly, I'd be scared of that too, so I don't even blame her for running. But the fact that she was still willing to try and be with him despite that is kind of amazing. I mean, yeah, you can make the argument it was mostly out of guilt, but can you really blame her? I mean, when you fucked up and need to make amends, wouldn't you want to at least try? She's even the one who convinces Toru to talk to him, albeit with a slap to the face, which definitely talks to some points. But yes, much like other Somas, she's barely there a lot of the time, so we don't get a whole lot out of her. Plus, if I'm being totally honest, her devotion to kill gets a little tiresome after a bit. There's only so many times I can see her try and kill and destroy all around her. But thankfully, she gets more development, and as she ages up, she actually calms down considerably. So I'm thankful it wears off before it gets annoying. I can explain. Some of you are probably super mad and probably just yeeted your computer out the room, wondering why the hell Akito of all characters is so close to the top 10. Firstly, you won't be able to hear me because your computer's out the window. And you know what? I can't justify this. But hear me out. Yes, Akito is a deplorable person. I get it. She deals with all kinds of horribly abusive behavior. There's at least 55 page ones on this list alone. But just to name a few, she's an absolute guilt tripper and abuser, especially to Yuki. She feeds into Kyo's hatred of Yuki, intending to imprison him. Oh, she also imprisons Isuzu after sending her to the hospital and nearly kills her. I could keep going, but it only damages my point. And again, look, I absolutely get it. Akito is deplorable. The gaslighting, the physical, mental, and verbal abuse, all that stuff, I know it hits hard for some people who went through that stuff. And let me be clear, I am genuinely sorry if you had to deal with any of those things. If Akito did things that happened to you, then I'm sorry you went through that. That being said, well, all the reasons that people hate her is the reason why she's here. Yes, I'm serious. All the reasons people hate her are the same reasons why I love her as a character. She is an amazingly sympathetic villain. And what's funny is, I was all set to put her at the bottom of the list. But Season 3, like Godzilla marching through Tokyo's districts, just smashed all my preconceptions of this character. And you want to talk development? Akito got probably some of the biggest development ever. For one thing, we find out why she is the way she is because of her tyrannical mother. And seeing her just fall apart when the first Soma loses his powers. And well, yeah, she guilt trips him, but when you are raised from the high bitch from hell almighty, do you blame her? But speaking of though, I absolutely love the way she smack talks Ren. She straight up chokes the bitch out and even lies to her about her father's gift just to spite her and make her suffer. And frankly, Ren deserved to suffer, so I'm applauding her. I would strive to be that level of petty in my life. But the scene that really got me was the final couple episodes, when she goes to try and kill Toru. And despite that, when Toru still shows her kindness and supports her, despite all that, Akito just kinda breaks. And to see her do that and realize what she did just broke me inside. Because she was so blinded by the hatred that was drilled into her brain, she didn't realize all she had to do was build the bonds normally and just be nice. And even when the bonds were broken, she would have had friends. Heck, she even tries to rush and save Toru after she collapses. And I also know for a fact in the sequel series, Toru and Akito actually become best friends, and that's just adorable. As adorable as her relationship with the Trollmeister. Yeah, don't worry, we'll get to him later. But the final thing that really got me was during the final banquet when she tries to say she's sorry, she can't even find the words or where to even start. But it's clear and obvious that she wants to earn the friendships back and she's genuinely sorry for what she did. That whole ending honestly shot her way higher than I was expecting. I went from hating her to loving to hate her to loving how sympathetic she is. And if you still think I'm full of shit, well, can we at least agree she's better than Ren? Okay, good. Plus there's at least 10 Somas better than her, so take comfort in that. Alright, so we're finally in the top 10. What possible Soma can I start the top 10 properly with? Well, how about the best doctor the family could ask for? Well, I'll be honest, this one I was not expecting to put as high as I did. Like a lot of the Somas, his development in the show is kinda disappeared by the end of it. And once he's gone, we get next to no development. But what little we do get, oh boy was it enough to jump him up. Okay, so first of all, he is the first of the 3 Musketeers. And while I think he is the weakest member, his interactions with Ayami and Sugary were great. When these 3 get together, it is just absolutely amazing. With Hattori just being the straight man to their absolute insanity. But let's not kid ourselves, let's get to the real good shit on why he's in the top 10. First, there's his interactions with Toru, which are just amazing. They're amazing in how we get very subtle hints on his past, as well as Toru just lighting up his day with her small gestures and happy comments. But I also love that when you think about it, he has one of the saddest backstories, and these are just gonna keep getting worse the closer we get to 1, so strap in! Okay, so we found out he was supposed to be wedded, but well, Akito lost her shit and hurt her, forcing Hattori to wipe her memory. Which, side note, he can do that? And it's implied he does this a lot, which has some dark implications. Oh well, in any case, it's still so heartbreaking, but it's also so hopeful when he does find the love of his life. And his ex-fiancée also finds true love. And he's not sad, he's happy that she's happy. However, before we move on, I do have one big gripe with this guy. Okay, so part of the Soma's thing is that they change into their cursed animal whenever they're hugged by the opposite gender. And well, when I heard this guy was the dragon, I got ecstatic. I mean, I wasn't expecting a full-blown dragon, but any type of lizard would have been awesome. A Komodo dragon even would have been amazing, that's what I was expecting. But then it happens, and we get this.
Hey, watch your step.
Are you okay, Hattori?
The fuck is this? No, seriously, what the fuck is this? A seahorse? Before you all jump down at me, I know in Japanese culture, seahorses are supposed to be young dragons. But I'm gonna still bitch about it because come the hell on. You can't even be an iguana? No, he just has to be a seahorse. Now don't get me wrong, his transformation scene is absolutely fun and hilarious. Especially to hear Toru struggle if he should be put in salt water or fresh water, that was funny. Especially when you think about, wait, what happens when he changes back? Does he just shatter the tank? But I'm still frustrated, so I'm a bitch about it. Let's just move on before I get more angry. So remember how Keisha was a Soma who had a great first impression but left after a bit? Well, what if we got another Soma that was really good through a first impression, but had a better one?
Monkey.
Yep, we finally get to the monkey of the family. And wow, did Ritsu, despite his small time, make a huge first impression. Like no joke, his intro episode is easily one of the funniest episodes and probably one of my favorites. I could not stop laughing at his constant apologies. His body language, his constant apologies, his flusterness, it was just all too much. But there's more than just comedy. For starters, I love how much of an anxiety-ridden mess he is. It's kind of relatable, honestly, being an anxiety ball myself. Although his parents are somehow even more of an anxiety-ridden mess. Like the time we meet his mom, it just killed me. But what killed me in a sad way was seeing them constantly apologize about their kid for being so weird and different, like damn, that hits hard. But besides that, I love the detail that Ritsu wears girly clothes to help with his anxiety. It's such a nice detail, as I know many guys who just feel comfortable wearing girly clothes. They're not transgender or anything, it just feels right. And it's cool that Ritsu gives them representation, and also, it's just cute. And I love the detail by the end of the series when the curse breaks, Ritsu's wearing more masculine clothing to represent that they're more comfortable now and have less anxiety. But they still get flustered when someone mentions marriage, and that's just cute. My only real complaint is, well, again, they're one of the members that pretty much disappears at some point. I know I keep saying that, and that's just a problem with so many of the characters, I can't help it. And sadly, they're just one of the ones that get tossed aside. But Ritsu is a case where he more than makes up for it for just being such a presence. Speaking of being a presence,
Greetings all.
yep, we finally have the snake boy of the Somas, and he is fabulous. Like in every way. I mean, he's amazing, fabulous, what other adjectives could I use? This is yet another Soma who left a huge first impression. as he entered the world barging in like a beauty queen and never stopped sparkling. He's just always on point no matter what, and just never lets anything faze him. Hell, he even hits on Toru like, my guy, you got balls of steel. You don't just hit on Toru like that, this is how Rule 34 happens. And Toru does not deserve that. But Snake Boy just don't give a damn despite the rules. Not to mention, I love his interactions with Sugary. The way they just flirt like a married couple, leading to no end of dying of laughter from me each and every single time. Also, I haven't mentioned this to any of the other members, as I do love all of their designs, but Ayami probably has one of my favorite designs out of all the Somas. Just the white hair contrasted with that red coat on such a tall body, it's just a good design. But even with the comedy, we still get some tragic backstory for him, albeit it's not nearly as crazy as the others, but it's still there. So he's brothers to Yuki and is absolutely obsessed with him, and we found out the reason why is because when Yuki needed his brother most, he pulled away just because in that moment of weakness he was scared. And he regrets it every single day and wants nothing more than to make amends. And he's doing that by being the good brother Yuki deserves. And while Yuki is hesitant to the point of actively seeming to push him away sometimes, Ayami isn't gonna give up on his little brother so easily. To the point where during the parent-teacher conference, he stands up to their controlling mother. He's the support Yuki needs outside of Toru being like a mother to him. Wait, does that mean Ayami is like the father figure he needs? But seriously though, he really does do so much for his brother, and the endearing brotherly love combined with his humor and personality, and I might as well add on his assistant, who they are absolutely adorable together. And it's crazy how they have the exact same energy, and it's just wholesome when they finally get together, which is probably one of my best post-connection break revelations ever. All of that just adds up to the most extraordinary Soma ever, although there is one thing I wonder about. Who's his voice actor? Chris Sabat? What the fuck? So you ever meet that one guy who can be chill in a mood 1 second, and next be aggressive and then back to chill? Yeah, there's a Soma that embodies that, and he's an ox. Hatsuharu is just too much fun. You can switch from a mood to I will kill you mode and then back to a mood all over again. More than anything, he's considered the yin-yang Soma, just embodying everything crazy. Heck, he's the reason Yuki ends up being calmer and nicer in life. As when Yuki meets him, he snaps and calls him stupid, and he just calmly says he's not stupid, which caused Yuki to realize just how he was acting, and from that day forward looks up to him like a brother. Actually, to be sure they aren't brothers, they do look pretty similar. Though to be fair, he's apparently the big bro of all the Somas basically, as he shows an ungodly amount of brotherly love to everyone, even Kyo. He cares for all of them and is nice and caring no matter what. Hell, the few times he turned into what is known as Dark Haru, it's pretty justified. Like when his girlfriend is found and starved, he rightfully gets cold to Akito for what he did to her. But those moments are rare, and he's mostly in chill older brother mode. Hell, he even has that goofy muscular boyfriend energy. Like the moment he carried away his girlfriend while the kids were following them is both funny and wholesome. Not to mention there's this scene when he hops on his bike. It's just, I would love to have that kind of energy in my life, it's just great. I know this entry's a little shorter, but what else can I say about this guy? He's an open book. You see him and you think, yeah, I get him. And you know what? That's fine. Sometimes a top 10 entry can be straightforward and have not much to say about it. Although what I will say is, can I get ox rides please? Well, we got ox boyfriend. Only makes sense we put horse girlfriend next. So remember when I said things were gonna only get sadder the lower we get on the list? Well, we are entering the endgame as Isuzu is one of the ones who has one of the most tragic. So much so that I just don't even know what the fuck. Okay, so when we first see her, she's in the hospital and breaks up with Haru. Well, that's a bad start. But it only gets worse as all the times we see her, she is cold and isolated as hell. The first time Toru finally meets the horse girl, she's passed out, and then tries to get away from her. But it's a little hard to blame her, considering her family life is basically an act, as her family pretended to love her, just pretending that they weren't ashamed to have a daughter like her that was so much of a monster in their eyes. But in the end, her mother just couldn't take it after she asked if they were actually happy. And despite that, she still finds her love Haru. But right when things are looking good, well, guess who ruins it? If you guess anything other than Akito, you're just fucking with me. This causes her to try and find a way to break the curse, which kind of admittedly goes nowhere, but to be fair, even I couldn't have guessed how the curse actually broke. But even still, Rin's quest is still endearing, as is her perseverance to try despite everything that happens to her, and she fights on. And I'll even admit, she had an uphill battle as she was constantly brushing others away. It got on my nerves like, woman, let people help you. And again, it's understandable considering why would she have any reason to trust anyone after her family treated her the way she did. Not to mention she does it because she doesn't want to be a burden to anyone. She thinks friendship will just cause them to be hurt when she's hurt. But all that changes when she meets Toru. She didn't want kindness, and yet she got it from Toru and just couldn't take it anymore. And she got a motherly figure in Toru that she desperately needed. And thank God she gets back together with Haru and all is well with the world. Because they're just such a cute couple, I couldn't see them apart. And she has Toru who can help her be kind in her friendship. Even though she's still a little distant, but baby steps. Horse Girl deserves happiness, and she got it. So I say justice for Big Horse Goth GF. Or maybe just Horse Girl GF? Yeah, let's go with that. Justice for Horse Girl GF. Alright, so I'll be honest. While I knew the beginning of the list, that whole middle section was one of the hardest ones to rank. So many members could have switched spots at any moment's notice. But while I struggled with the middle, I knew my top 5 instantly while making this list. So now we can finally get into the 5 characters I unequivocally knew I was gonna love. So let's get into the 5 members I love wholeheartedly with all my plums. Starting off by repping my sweet German bunny boy. If Keisha takes the adorable cake, then Momoji is the whole damn bakery. I mean, just look at this guy, even his bunny form is absolutely adorable. And it's yellow, a yellow bunny. I love it. And just look at that backpack. But he's not just a cute bastard, he's smooth too. Guy stole a kiss from Toru on the cheek just because he could. He does it without even trying, and from then on they were just inseparable. Like seriously, his friendship with Toru is just absolutely incredible. And it's just so cute. Almost as cute as the fact that he wears cute girly clothes. There is seemingly no rhyme or reason to this, he just likes it and doesn't care. He wears a girl's uniform for God's sake just because he can. And granted, he does eventually get a normal uniform later in life, but who cares? But underneath all that cuteness is some heartbreaking backstory. We get some of that in the first and second year arcs, as we find out his mother had her memory wiped of him, all because she rejected him, and he didn't want her to suffer knowing she gave birth to a monster, referring to him as just that thing. Oof. Just oof. But despite that, this experience honestly made Momoji much wiser beyond his years. As despite his age, he is insanely insightful. I mean sure, he immediately jumps back into his childlike nature, but I would argue that's mostly a defense mechanism. He puts on a brave face and is hurting deep down inside, but as is the case, Toru opens his eyes, to the point where it's kind of obvious he has a crush on her, but their friendship is still cute. But then we get to the final years, and well, my boy got a growth spurt.
Oh no, he's hot!
Yep, he got to glow up like crazy, and good for him honestly. And yet he still has the bunny backpack. I mean, come on, how can you not love that? I'm all about letting your freak flag fly. Also, those girls are just crazy getting turned off by that. That's the most unrealistic thing about this anime, girls will be all over a guy like that. But okay, putting that aside, and more importantly, we also see him finally get closure on 2 different fronts. One is with his mother, as he finally feels good learning she is happy, and he's happy that his sister is living a good life. His sister does eventually find out in the sequel series that they're related, and that's honestly pretty cute. But the other, and frankly more powerful one, is when he breaks his curse and Akito rushes to confront him. Like, holy shit, the shade is just palatable on Bun Boy. Because good goddamn does this boy stand up to her now knowing she has no power over him. And you know what, after the way she treated him, he has every right to do this. And he just closes the door on her. Like, damn, you're cold-blooded, Momoji. And it shot him right into the top 5, showing that this bun boy may be cute, but he has some weight. And he has no problem being a cold bunny. And yet still stays happy and hopeful, and even puts on a brave face for everyone. That's why I love him. He's kind, yet seems to be wise and hopeful. And he honestly has no right to be as crazy good as he is. So Bun Boy, you start the top 5 properly. Yep, coming into the top 4 is the Trollmaster himself, Sugary. One of the first members we meet outside of Toru, and this guy is easily the funniest member out of all of them. Why? Because he's just one giant troll. He trolls everyone by being gay with Snake Boy. He trolls his roommate Yuki by just being crazy. He trolls people into doing the right thing, like when he trolls Kyo and Yuki to go back for Toru. Heck, speaking of Toru, he trolls her as well. He trolls his editor, oh god, especially his editor. Nobody is safe from his trolling ways, and his never-ending trolling comedy is just too much. He's just so fun-loving and aloof. Or at least, at first anyway. Yeah, don't let any of that fool you. This guy has a dark side. No, he doesn't have parental issues. In fact, he seems to have the healthiest parental relationship out of any of the Somas, and you know what? Good for him. No, I mean that this guy is also cold. For one thing, he seems to be very indifferent to the abuse from Akito onto others. He only seems to show kindness every once in a while. One is obviously to Toru offering her a place to stay, but also to Yuki offering him a place to stay as well away from Akito. But other than that though, he seems to just not care. Hell, his reason to have the curse broken is just to have Akito all to himself, so that there's no more connection and that he can have her all alone. He even freely admitted that he sees himself as a monster for his actions. And you know what, maybe he is. He slept with Akito's mom. You have to be a special kind of petty to get back at someone by sleeping with literal Satan. Although, yeah, to be fair, Akito slept with Rooster Boy first, so it was just to get back at her. But still, jeez. But despite that, I can't say I hate Sugary like I did Akito. Hell, even in Season 3 Revelations, where we learn his far more selfish and harmful side, I still love this guy as a character. And like Akito, it's because he is flawed. He's one of the most interesting of the Somas. Hell, even if he knows he's flawed, he still does his best and still shows kindness to others. Hell, as abusive as his relationship with Akito is, I'm happy they end up together. What places him way higher though, is the fact that he was so good at hiding his more selfish side, and when we see his side more, it just adds layers to him rather than take it away. Plus again, he's just funny, okay? Dogboy gives me the laughs. I think that's all I need to say. You know, you can make a strong argument that this guy is the most important member of the Somas. And with all the shit Ratboy goes through, it's not hard to see why. I think there is a far more tragic Soma out there, but Yuki is pretty high up there. For starters, this poor guy was the main target of Akito. See, in the lore of the world, it is said that the rat and the god are supposed to have the closest connection. And well, let's just say Akito took it really far, and wanted the rat all to herself and was not shy about making it known. As if that wasn't bad enough, his mother basically didn't care, being absolutely controlling and controlling every part and aspect of his life. It's like, god damn, let the kid live his life. But thank god the day he met Toru, his life would change for the better. He even manages to move out, and while Akito keeps a hard leash on him, he slowly breaks it thanks to Toru, who treats him like a human, and is basically everything he needs in a motherly figure. Caring and sweet, and that emotional support gives him what he needs to stand up to both Akito as well as his own mother. And hell, it seems to work as Akito basically is shown that she has no power over him, and even his own mother very subtly changes her tone. She speaks a lot more calmly to him and just wants him to know that she appreciates him. I think she knows that she's pushing her son away and changes her tone. I love Yuki mostly because he's such a good pure example of one of the biggest themes of Fruits Basket, that a small act of kindness or friendship can help someone through their hardest days, and maybe even give them the confidence to be who they want to be and not what they are forced to be. And I can say that from personal experience. I don't think I would have had the confidence to run my own D&D games, make videos, or even meet the love of my life or all my amazing friends if I didn't have support and encouragement to put myself out there more, encouraging me to be who I want to be. So yeah, I relate to Yuki in that regard. But besides that, this guy is just so chill and nice. He is cool incarnate, and his moments of just being goofy are just so good. Like when he meets the student council members, those guys are just crazy, and they just make things so much better with him being the straight man to all these guys. They contrast against him so hard, and well, honestly, I love it. But by far, my favorite moment is when he finally finds love. there's a reason he was the last to lose his curse just so we can get this amazing emotional moment. Like, no joke, this is one of the scenes that made me fall in love with this show. He finally, after all his hardships, finds love. He finds confidence, and he finds his shackles are broken and he can be free. It's just a perfect ending to his story arc. Granted, all the Somas get great endings in their own right, but he more than any of them gets such a great final. And he definitely deserves it, and I'm happy for him. But he would have never gotten as far as he did without the next entry on our list. So remember when I said I was making an exception for one member to make it on here? Well, rest assured there's a good reason. And the reason is her. Oh come on, I had to make an exception for Toru. She's practically a Soma in every way but name, and she's done so much for that family that I had to put her on the list. I just could never forgive myself for not including her. My stupid bonobo brain just wouldn't allow it. And so why is that? Come on, do I even need to explain? Oh, I do. Okay, well, Wholesome Bean for one. She is literally one of the most wholesome anime protagonists ever created, hands down. Like, this woman is literally too sweet and kind for her own good. Her kindness is so unmatched and crazy strong. She befriends all the Somas, and when they reject her, she basically takes it as a challenge. Like when Horsko rejects her and even befriends her in the end. He even convinces her to finally go seek help from the doctor. All just by being a good person. She saves so many of the members from trauma. Hell, I'd argue even the little shit wouldn't have had the revelation he did if Toru didn't make him realize he was being a dick. And I'd argue even if the curses did break naturally without her, they would have been stuck with so much perpetual trauma forever, just from all the crap Akito put them through. And yet Toru saved them all in her own way, just by being nice, being friends, or just being goofy like her stellar ping pong skills. No, but seriously, I literally can't name a single member who wasn't touched by her kindness. Even Akito, who need I remind you wanted to actually murder her, still got kindness from her. Even when she gets slashed at by the knife, she still tries to hug it out. And it works as Akito is finally actually a legitimate friend and good person. Now granted, Toru does get her ass planted on the ground when she tumbles down, but even then Akito still tries to save her, showing that she has changed. She even visits her in the hospital. No wonder these two become friends. Toru is literally so wholesome for even words. Toru, you are just too wholesome for this world. It plants back into the themes that just a little act of kindness and friendship can go a long way in helping others. I'd argue if Fruits Basket had a theme, that'd be its main central one. Of course, there is also her amazing personality, kindness, her wholesomeness. And I won't lie, she acts way too much like my girlfriend, so maybe I'm a little biased in that regard. But you know what? Screw it. I'm allowed to be biased. It's my list. Also, like so many others, she has a tragic backstory. Her mother dying at a young age meant that she was basically all on her own, having to live with her grandpa. And don't get me wrong, he's a good bean, but his children sure as hell aren't. And she had to work extra hard at her jobs to earn the money she needed, to the point of absolute exhaustion. And despite all that, she is still so kind to others, in spite of how dirty her life is done. Toru deserves the number 2 spot, and I will hear no arguments to the contrary on that. But who could be number 1? Okay, let's not kid ourselves, you know who number 1 is. Alright, no more holding back. You want the real shit? You want that real shit? You want that emotionally destroying story arc that'll make you ugly cry in the best way possible? You want the other half of the heart and soul of Fruits Basket? You want the most tragic yet also most uplifting member ever? Well, have I got a member for you because we finally reached them, and I can safely say that for number 1, if anybody deserves a happy ending more than any other Soma, it would be Toru and her kitty. Yeah, we all saw this coming a mile away, didn't we? Hey, just because it's the obvious choice doesn't mean it's the wrong choice. And if you think I'm wrong, you're wrong. But seriously, I had to put Kyo at the number 1. Remember how I keep saying that the closer we get to number 1, the worse the backstory is gonna get? Well, get ready because I think the universe has something against Kyo because he gets done dirty. Okay, so first of all, he's basically the actual black sheep of the Somas because he's the cat. And well, the cat's technically not a real Zodiac animal. I mean, he was, but stuff and things happened and now he's cursed. And not in the oh my god cute animal curse. No, curse as in this thing. Yeah, I know I showed it already, but I can't get over this. Look at this thing. That is a hell of a design for a monster. And all cats are apparently cursed to live with this side. Not only that, but they're forced to live in a prison when they reach a certain age. And they really have no choice but to do that. And Kyo has to live with not only that and a trauma on his wrist, but he also has an alcoholic father who blames him for his spouse's death. And heck, for the longest time he blamed himself for his mother's death. Not only that, but he's hugely resentful towards the rats, just because of how close they are to the others. Hell, Akito says that if Kyo can beat Yuki, she won't imprison him, and no matter how much he tries, he can never beat him. As if all that wasn't bad enough, he also blames himself for Toru's mother's death, thinking that she said she won't forgive him for killing her, when in actuality, she was just begging for him to take care of Toru. Yeah, not gonna lie, this guy's life is rough. It is very sad to say the least. And that's why it's so tragic, and that's why I love him. And what's funny is that he didn't start out like that, honestly. I originally did not like this guy. I'm normally not a huge fan of the angry hothead stereotype, but he grew on me hard. And I think that is part of the reason why I push him so high. He had an uphill battle, and not only did he make it, but he skyrocketed past the mountain. And all it took was Season 1's final, when we see the truth about his form. And then even despite that, Toru still helps him. And yeah, I could have counted this for Toru's point, but I see it as a win for both of them, and since I'm talking about Kyo, I'm bringing it up now. As well as he chills out considerably as the season goes on. Maybe it's him getting older or what, maybe it's just him getting older or whatnot, but he gets a lot less hot-headed honestly. And I like that, yet he's not a complete change. But who am I kidding, the real big moment comes in Season 3, when we finally get a conclusion to their romance and it all comes out. We see he does in fact love Toru, but feels he can't be with her, blaming himself for her mother's death. It is unbelievably heartbreaking and I can't take it. And it's not even over, as we later get Kyo trying to hug Toru as she fucking runs away. Like, goddammit woman, let him love you. But anyway, this moment when the curse breaks and he just rips the beads off, there's a reason it was used in the Season 3 opener because it's such a powerful image. The beads breaking and falling down is just mwah, it's beautiful. That, combined with Toru helping him through his cursed form, are the two greatest moments in the show in my opinion. The greatest moments in the show involve either Toru or Kyo. How appropriate. But it's not hard to see why, is it? And with that, he can finally live his life with Toru. Hell, another great moment comes in the after credits when we see Toru and Kyo as an old married couple. Like, come on. It's just so much. The son is also pretty cool. Kyo's a spicy boy and deserves happiness after his hell of a life. Toru was literally wanting this guy since he was young, swearing to be a cat rather than a rat. And frankly, I could have just put Toru and Kyo at the #1 spot, but you know what? I have to make Kyo #1 just because of his sad and amazing backstory, combined with the misdirect of me initially not liking him, which really spun me around. And that's why the Orange Cat Boy wins the title of the best Soma ever. And I did it. I ranked every Soma cursed member and Toru. I really hope you enjoyed this video, as it was one I had in the works for quite some time now. So if you did like this, then please give the video a like as it pushes it through the algorithm. And I really want people to appreciate this video, as well as this anime honestly. And if this is your first time seeing this video and you like what you saw, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon, as it really helps out and costs nothing. Though if you do wish to help me out and need some money towards my head, I do have a Patreon. You can donate to the Patreon and get exclusive perks like taking part in monthly votes to decide what I do for a video. You can also directly request something and join one of our tabletop games for a lot of money, as well as getting tags in the Discord server to get special sneak peeks. Special shout out to Soundwave and Prism for being amazing producers, and Logan for being an amazing Discord producer. I also have a Twitch where I stream games. By the time you see this, I may or may not still be playing Pokemon Legends Arceus right now, but I am also definitely going through all the Harry Potter games for a future retrospective, so give me a follow over there if you want to see me play them. But that's all I got for you right now, guys. I'm the Watchful One saying keep on watching, and I'll see you guys next time.